Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Man, that's the best part of the week right here, man. And get to come back with another show, man. This show is always the best show. Fridays is easy to listen to podcasts, man. You happy for the weekend. It's been a long day of work, long week of work. Co-workers pissing you off, everybody pissing you off, and now you get to get rewarded with some good podcasting, man, from me and my friend, my guy, my Terp, Billy Edwards Jr. Billy Edwards is coming to the show today, man, to talk about a little bit of his past, man, a little bit of his career, man. Overall, talk about the season, how you feel the Terps done so far up to this point, man. And getting ready for bowl week, man. Get ready for that type of craziness. Is about to be crazy, about to get a little week off, and then he go right back to the action and get to figure out who they be playing in the postseason. So coming up next will be Billy Edwards Jr. Stick around after this. It was great, got better, and basically being faster, stronger, powerful, and being more explosive. And now I'm out here competing and having fun.
Running behind that fine offensive line, Derwin Graves did a great job tonight.
With all the guys I played with, that was a fun experience being a part of, so I had fun with it. It's definitely been fun, man, so I appreciate all the coaching staff and what they've done for me. Maryland's been a great school for me. Billy, what's up, brother?
How we doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good, man. I'm excited to get you on, man. All year, man, you've been kind of one of those guys. I always like, man, I wonder what it's like to have him on the show, man. You've been a cool guy, man. I always watch you play, man, and see how they bring you in for short yardages, man. It's always like, man, they only use it for short yardage. They can use it for much more. This guy's athletic.
Yeah.
Let's bring him in.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know how it is, man. You got to play your role, man. But before we get to that point, man, first of all, how you doing, man? I know it's that crunch time of the year, man, and the semester, man. How's school, man? How's everything?
It's good, no complaints. Obviously, end of the season, end of the semester, like you said, busy time, crazy time, but you just take it one day at a time. And, whether it's knocking one class out, I got some finals this week, things of that nature that, I'm able to finish up some school. And then obviously, we had our last regular season game last week for bowl, whoever we're playing in the bowl to come out. So it's a crazy time, but this time of the year is fun. So just trying to enjoy it and knock out classes and get ready for one more game.
Yeah, man, for sure, man. What are you studying in school right now?
I'm a communications major. So yeah, I'm graduating spring of 2024. So I got a couple classes in the winter and then a full load in the spring. So we're not.
Wow, you're getting out of there early. Wow, man, that's amazing. What do you plan to do with that degree, man? You plan to come on to the podcast side, man? So come join me on the shell, man. Come join me over here on the shell.
1,000%. I know if I got to write it out perfectly, I definitely want to get in the, something sports broadcasting, like, this definitely something avenue that you're right down. Just anything where, talking about sports, communicating about sports, sports is obviously football is a big part of my life. It's been a big part of my life and my upbringing. So that's kind of the goal is to just, use my communications degree and whatever I get my degree in grad school to keep me around sports. Cause that's, it's pretty much all I've known.
Yeah, for sure. Man, how tough is those classes in Maryland, man? How tough is those classes?
They're, I wouldn't say they're horrible. It just depends. My mom's a teacher, so I think I'm pretty blessed where a lot of it, I think in college is just about organization, being able to manage stuff, time management. So I wouldn't say it's too bad. I try not to, as I've gotten older, I try not to over stress about one class over the other. I just go through, a big part of it is organization, and then I give everything my best go, and you kind of, you let the chips fall as they will. But I wouldn't say it's too bad. We have a lot of resources and help here too. So
for sure. Definitely. Man, what is one thing you feel is the hardest thing as a student athlete, man, when they first transition from high school to college, man? What is one of the biggest troubles most students and student athletes have early on?
I would say definitely early on would be, the two things that I'd go 1A and 1B would be being away from home. Obviously like now, I'm at Maryland, I'm 35 minutes away from home. I'm closer, but when I was a freshman at Wake Forest, it's obviously that's something tough because, you're by yourself and obviously, a lot of teenagers want that, which, they're obviously it's perks to that, but you're by yourself and you got a lot more stuff on your plate, which overwhelmed me in the beginning. And then, 1B of that is just time management because, like you said, you're by yourself. So you don't have, we have structure here when you're a student athlete, but even if you are like, you don't have anyone waking you up in the morning saying you got to do this, like you got to be on top of your game, on your P's and Q's, making sure, you got all all your ducks in line and everything's going well in your life, or else it can get very chaotic and very overwhelming. So I'd say those two go hand in hand, especially as a young person coming in.
100%.
You learn a lot.
100%. 100%. And I couldn't agree with that more. I think that's one of the toughest things for me. I thought coming to Maryland was like just time management, man, having all that freedom and having the ability to do whatever I want, getting a little scholarship check over there in Maryland. And it was just like going hang out at Stamp Student Union. Should I go to class? I'd rather just hang out at Stamp right now. And especially around 12 o'clock noon. I mean, that's when it's popping inside of Stamp. Everybody's around. Everybody's done past that Chick-fil-A right there. Everybody's the line is wrapped around. Everyone is there, man. It takes hours to leave that place.
The line go all the way down to like Panda Express. So sometimes you gotta choose your battles. If you got class in 10 minutes, you're like, I can't go to Chick-fil-A today.
I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, you can go right across from the Chick-fil-A and go to that McDonald's, man. Either one of those, man. I mean, it's crazy. But man, hey, that's the life of a student athlete, man, early on. But man, Billy, obviously, man, you've done a great job, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're a fantastic student in the classroom, man. You're a well outspoken guy, man. You talk really good, man. So I'm sure that you're killing this communications thing right now. Man, we're gonna dive a little bit into your high school career, man. You're a local guy. You're from the DMV. I'm from the DMV. I'm from DC, man. Locks, I was one of Locks' products, man. He kept me home, and from going to Florida or Rutgers or who was it? Rutgers? No, it was Auburn. Auburn, Maryland, and Rutgers in my top three at the time. He kept me, man. He kept me home, man. Man, you played ball at Lake Broderick, man, in Virginia, man, in Springfield, man. Where you from, man? Talk a little bit about what is Springfield, Virginia, man, for people that don't know.
Well, yeah, Springfield, Virginia, obviously 35 short drive away, 35 minutes away. You get out of my neighborhood and you take two turns and you're on 495 and you can be DC in 15 minutes with no traffic, obviously, which, fingers crossed around here, that's almost never a thing, but in 15 minutes and College Park in about 30. So I'd say, I'm really like blessed to grow up and be where I'm from. Cause I had a lot of things at my disposal growing up, at my fingertips, if I ever need to get anywhere. And in that area, there's a lot of good ball, Northern Virginia. There's obviously a lot of good, I played against Westfield, who won 4 straight state championships when I was in high school, played against South County. They were, my junior year, the best year we had, they were, unstoppable in their front seven. So they went 15-0 and won the state championship. So there's, I was very blessed in that area. There's, obviously good school, good football, just it was good people, and it was a great place to grow up in. And when I got the opportunity to come back to Maryland and come back home, it was a no-brainer just because of how close it is. And I think there's a lot of similarities between College Park and Springfield, Virginia. So
for sure, man. We definitely want to dive into what brought you back, man. Before we get there, man, talk about your high school ball at Lake Broderick, man. Talk about some of your proudest moments there.
Yeah, I would say I think my sophomore year, getting the chance to start as a sophomore, which, at quarterback, I would, it obviously is not impossible, but I couldn't remember a sophomore starter at quarterback in my high school in a while because, I'd been around teams from Lake Braddock because my dad coached there for multiple years. My brother obviously played there. He's, 4 or 5 years older than me. So I'd been around Lake Braddock since I was probably 12, 13 years old. So, starting there as a sophomore, as like a 15-year-old, and taking over the reins of that program after some pretty good players was definitely a special part, and getting the chance to play in those rival games, Robinson, South County. Like I said, my first year start was against Westfield, and they were coming off, I think, their 3rd or 4th straight state championship. So just getting that chance to get that exposure and to play against some really good people and be around really good coaches. Like I said, I've been around football my whole life. As long as I can remember, my dad was a high school football coach for, I think, 34, 35 years in the Northern Virginia area. So just being around then, and, we obviously, we won some decent games. My junior year, we made it to the region championship, ended up losing to South County. And, the games were fun, but I think just the community, the Lake Braddock community and that Springfield Burke area made it fun to play for and really special to be a part of. Whether we won or lost, there was always good times to be had there. And obviously, I definitely made some memories and learned a lot that obviously helped me and to grow into the player and person I am today that, got me to where I am now.
No, for sure, man. I mean, you're a hell of a player, man. I mean, I know definitely your time is definitely coming. I mean, sometimes you have to wait your time, and when it comes, man, it's gonna make it feel that much more special. I mean, some of the
100%.
great quarterbacks we know now, like Jalen Hurts, he had to wait his time, and when he got his opportunity to shine, now we're looking at one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So, I mean, you doing everything right, man. Just wait your time, be a great teammate like you've already been. So, You're 42 ranked quarterback in area of Virginia. 42 ranked player in Virginia, I say. Man, first of all, being ranked, man, what does that feel like to be ranked, man? No matter where you get ranked at, just to be ranked, man, amongst a lot of great players, and to say Billy Evans is one of those guys, what does that feel like?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that made that feel surreal and like just have it feel like such a blessing it was just being around my brother. Obviously, like I said, he was older than me, and he didn't get recruited as highly as me out of high school. He wasn't ranked as highly as me, and so obviously any of the challenges that he went through in his recruiting process and just growing up, I was able to learn from. Which I owe all my success especially that I had in high school to him, and going watching him go through his process first. So it was just really cool and surreal. When I got a couple offers. I got a couple offers. The end of my sophomore year, I believe, was my first one. And then going into my junior year, I think I had like 6 or 7, and that was when I, got ranked for the first time. So that was definitely cool and surreal. Obviously as you get older, you don't like to listen to that stuff as much, but definitely as like a 15, 16-year-old, it was cool just to see myself even ranked.
Yeah,
I didn't care what the ranking was, but
yeah.
just to have a ranking and be in that list of top guys in Virginia. And, the DMV was definitely, it was cool. I don't know how else to say it. It was definitely, it was awesome to see.
I mean, a lot of people sleep on the DMV ball, man. DMV, we got some
Oh,
ballers in
yeah.
this area, man,
Oh,
for sure. We got ballers, man. I know people talk about Florida, the state of Florida, which I live in now, the state of Florida, but they
yeah.
talk about Florida got the best ball down here. I mean, I
You got to
see
come
it,
to the
but
DMV.
I mean, DMV, we got a little bit of everything: skill, O
Exactly.
line, D line. I mean, Florida's just good for skill players. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
real.
No,
And I mean,
hey, if you want to come, you want to come see some offensive linemen. You go to, you got the WCAC. You want to see some
yeah,
real players. We got Maryland, Northern
yeah,
Virginia. We got a little
yeah.
bit of everything. So
Mm,
we
I'm
definitely
telling
got
you.
our fair share of everything here in the DMV.
Oh, for sure, man. Man, you passed for about 5,000 yards, man. You had about 750 rushing yards, 59 TDs, and 6 rushing TDs in 2 seasons combined at Lake Broderick, man. How was that even possible, man? How was you able to do? I know you give a lot of credit to your brother, man, and I know your dad coached there, man. You've been around football since you was 12 or 13 years old, but those type of numbers, man, it's big time, man. In Virginia, where it's good football, like we
Yeah.
talked, it's really good football in Virginia. How do you put up those type of numbers where you have constant D linemen like those guys coming out of Northern Virginia? Like I remember during my time, we had like Deshaun Hand, Deron
Deshaun
Payne,
again. Yep.
all those guys was coming out of Northern Virginia back when I was playing, and that was
Yeah.
like in 2012 and 13
Yep.
back
Yeah.
then.
Deshaun
Like
again, Jonathan Allen, all those guys. But
Jonathan Allen, yeah,
I like I said, I give a lot of credit to the people I was surrounded with. I had some really good teammates in high school. My junior year, I had a tight end go to Michigan, Matthew Hibner. We had, I think my junior year when I probably had my bet. We had our best year as a team. Our running back I think ran for almost like 2,000 yards, something ridiculous. So
wow,
Will Murray went on to William and Mary. Kid of my grade, hell of a receiver, Max James went on to James Madison. So I was very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of good teammates and the coaches. Like I said, they really trusted me from the jump. Coach Doc and Coach Cullen and my my staff from high school really trusted me from the jump as a 15-year-old to go in there, and they gave me the keys to their Ferrari and let me take it for a couple joy rides for 3 years. So it was
yeah,
it was a fun ride, and I liked it. We were pass heavy offense, a lot of RPOs, and like I said, all the stuff that we did there, I was learning as just as much from talking to my brother on the weekends, and he would give me play ideas, and we'd incorporate that stuff in it to where it would help us be really successful. So it was fun. I just had a lot of good people around me. There's a lot of smart football minded people, whether it's teammates, coaches, family members that all kind of came into one to help me have a successful career there. So
for sure, for sure, and all that's true, man. Because as a good player, man, there's always a good circle behind you or a good team behind you to help push you in the right direction. I mean, for me, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of supporters coming out, but high school, but I knew playing in DC ball, man, that not wanting to go back to DC was my biggest supporter. I
yeah,
would say that just the want to get away from the area, man. And I ended up staying home and playing in Maryland, of course, but I was very close to being in Florida. I was close to being a Gator. You know
yep,
what I mean? But Locks talked me into it, making the best decision I ever could have made, the best one in my life. You know what I mean? That was the first important decision I ever made as being a young man going into a human adult, you know what I mean, world.
yep.
So for you, man, you made a lot of good decisions, man, early on to set you up where you are now. And one of them was making a decision to go to Wake Forest. What influenced that decision?
Well, I'd say the biggest thing, obviously it was tough being recruited during, the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. I think it was I was on the way home. Me and my dad were on the way home from a flight from Western Michigan, and like it was
Hmm.
like March 12th or 13th or whatever, visiting them. And they, the next day everything shut down. So from then it was kind of Zoom, and it was just tough. But I was committed to Old Dominion for about 5 or 6 months, and Wake Forest was like the first. They were the first school to come watch me throw. Like, I mean, days after my sophomore season. So they had kept in touch for over 2 years, and they offered me probably a couple weeks before signing day that they're in December, and it was tough. I committed to Old Dominion. I was their second commit. Recruited every kid that committed there hard, like on Twitter, reaching out, kind of doing my part. And then when I got the opportunity to Wake, it was always my dream to play Power Five football and prove that, not necessarily prove other people wrong, but prove myself right. And the people that helped me get to where I am. So when I had that, it was a hard decision, but it was really a no brainer to the sense of where I want to go bet on myself and go to the ACC and see what I can do. So
For
it was a
sure.
tough decision, but definitely glad I made it because obviously everything happens for a reason, and
For
all
sure. For
downhill.
sure. Who was some of the other teams that was in the race to get you, man, besides Wake Forest, man? And then who was your top 2, 3, 4?
I would say, obviously Wake Forest came in when they did, and they were someone I had talked to the whole time. But the ones that I had offers from and recruited me hard, besides Old Dominion, obviously, were like East Carolina, James Madison, some of the local schools. Liberty liked me a lot, and a lot of the MAC schools. The biggest thing for high school, coming out of high school, is I wanted to try to stay as close to home as possible. So I really liked, East Carolina, Liberty, James Madison, Old Dominion, those schools kind of within 3-4 hour radius. And then there's certain things that make you want to go a little bit further when you get an offer like from the ACC and Wake Forest. So I ended up
Yeah.
making that jump, and it was 5 hours. It wasn't too bad though. I had
Hmm.
a lot of good people. Virginia Tech, I have a lot of friends there. That was only an hour away, so it all
Yeah.
worked itself out. But definitely, trying to stay close to home was the main thing. So I focus on a lot of the schools in that closer radius.
For sure. I think Wake Forest has always been a pretty good school, man. I had a couple buddies that went to Wake Forest and played in the league as well. Man, walk me through the journey at Wake Forest, man. Talk to me about your experience from the day you stepped on campus to the day football first began at Wake Forest for you.
Yeah,
Even though I know it's a short time, but
it was it was it was a it was a quick it was a quick. I don't even know if I was there maybe 10, 11 months. But the interesting thing about that, which I don't think many people, if anyone knows, is that when they offered me as a gray shirt. So I graduated high school in 2021, and they offered me to come in the winter in January of 2022. So I technically would have reclassed a year. Like, I would have had to figure out, go to a school for a 6 month period to play ball, or I could have stayed at home. I don't know what I would have done. I hadn't really figured out until they called me, you know, probably, I think it was like 40 days before. So end of April. And we're like, hey, we actually want you to come in June now. Like, we want you to come when we're normally supposed to, as a class of 2021 graduates. So I was like, I don't really have a choice. My senior season just ended. So the day after my graduation, I graduated, went to my all night grad party, and left my all night grad party at like 4 in the morning, and drove 5 hours to Winston-Salem, and moved in. So it was definitely a quick turnaround. And, we were coming out the back end of the pandemic. We had some in-person school and stuff. So that was all new again. And then moving into school was definitely, it's one of those experiences that you kind of blur out when you go through. Like, you don't really remember it. It's foggy because how much stuff is happening so fast.
yeah,
But once I moved in, I had it. The quarterback room there was really good. I had a bunch, made friends pretty quickly. There was a lot of guys from the Northern Virginia area already on the team and in my class. So it was a quick, I would say it was an easier transition than I thought. Outside of that first, like, probably a couple weeks. Definitely camp was hard. Going through your first camp as a freshman is
100%.
it was hard. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. But that's a story of its own. But it was a good transition when, going through the season, just try to learn as much as I can, and then obviously got, learning as much as I did in the season gave me the opportunity to have a good spring ball like I did, and then, create some value for myself, and get a chance to go in the portal like I did. So it was, that 1 year there, I learned so much. I wouldn't change it at all. I met a lot of good people. I still talk to them, to this day. My bye week, I went down and watched some of my buddies play there. So it was a short chapter of my life, but definitely one that I took a lot away from, and I'll remember.
For sure, for sure. Man, talk about just the offensive system there, man. Like, what type of style quarterback do you feel you are?
Well, After this year, it's hard to say I'm not just a runner, but I would, I like to think I can do, whatever the defense allows us to do. Obviously in high school, like people ask me in high school, I was not much of a runner at all. I talked to my high school coach pretty frequently, and he's like, "Dang, like we should have used you to run a little bit more." And I didn't really run the ball at all until I was a senior, and I was about 225 pounds. I'd kind of grown into my skin a little bit, so they felt more comfortable with me taking those hits. But I think I'm a thrower first. A lot of the guys that I liked watching in the NFL that I think, I can learn from, because I think we have similar skills and attributes, are like the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrow, who's moves less, but he's very efficient in what he does, throwing the ball. He doesn't take many sacks, get the ball out of his hand quickly. Those two I think are probably the two where I think I can see myself fitting the closest to, just with how they play. And
Okay.
obviously every level you go up, you can't take these hits like you could in high school. So I'm
For
I'm
sure.
learning that. I'm learning that as I go in
For
and
sure.
take some of them. But just to having the ability to extend plays, and obviously, at least here I'm a bigger body guy, so they put me in some of those short yardage packages, which I think that's just another thing that I can help myself create value. But I think at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I'm a thrower, so I'm just trying to better that and get more reps of that. And whenever I get a chance to show that in a game, I'll be ready.
So when you looking back at Wake, man, what type of system they had you playing, man? I know you talk about a little bit how they got you now. Back then, was you more of a thrower, or was you a little exposed to a little bit of everything while you was at Wake?
Yeah, I would say it was a little bit of everything. The offensive system that they run at Wake is a deal of its own. I don't think anyone else runs it in college football. They're slow mesh sort of thing. And I remember the head coach, Coach Clausen, when I was there, like he kind of described it as like it's triple option offense, and every capacity, in the sense of like almost every play. We did drop back and play action and normal things like that, but all our RPOs, we had our slow mesh, so everything was a pass handoff, or we could run it ourselves, or we'd follow the running back. So it was just, I got exposed to a lot. And I think the biggest thing I took away from my freshman year, obviously besides of what I learned in that offense, was how to read defenses. And how defenses, as complicated as they may look, it's all a pendulum. And a defensive
Hmm.
team can only do so much, because if this guy goes here, most likely someone's got to go here, this guy's got to go there. It all
Yeah.
has its cause and effect. So I
Gotta
was
have
exposed
gap
to a lot
sound.
of stuff.
Gotta be gap sound, man.
Yeah, I was
Every
exposed to a
defense
lot of
has
stuff.
to have a hole to fit.
Yep.
Man, when you look back at their coaching staff, man, how was their coaching staff, man? How was they? Like, what type of coaches were they?
Um, I would say, the one thing about there that I liked when I was there is they don't change much. Most of the coaches had been there. They're all very familiar with each other. They'd been there for multiple years, and they had developed that system together.
Yeah.
My offense coordinator there, Coach R, that was that system, the slow mesh system, was kind of his baby, and him and Coach Clausen kind of tweaked it over the years to get it
Hmm.
as successful as it was. But they were, they coached you hard, and that was, that's the one thing I liked about my freshman year. Obviously, in the beginning, it was tough to understand that, when you're 18, 19 years old, and you're going through your
Right.
first camp, and you're getting,
Right.
earfuls. But I think that only bettered me as a player when I was there, obviously, to get the chance I did in the spring. I learned from any mistakes I had made in the past. So they were, they coached hard, but they were all very familiar with each other, and it made it easy. They all knew the system pretty well. So it was fun to, for my first college season to get exposed to that, because that's, that system. I don't know if we'll ever see anyone else run a system like that. So it was good to get that experience and information and knowledge in my toolbox for whenever I can use it.
For sure. When you think about all that, man, and you think about all this is going on during that short stint of 11 months, you say, when did you know you was finally leaving Wake Forest? When did that come to your mind?
Um, I would say, we had the spring game. I think the spring game was like the first or second week in April, or yeah, in April. So that was fairly early for the rest of them. It wasn't probably until, maybe like a week or so, maybe around a week or so after that, where I was like, okay, maybe this is like a real thing,
Right.
that, maybe I want to do this, just off the situation I was in, and what I thought I could get when I left. Um, but I always say, I always joke about this, but you always, I was never prepared for it, but I was always prepared for it, if that makes sense, to where, you never know how things are going to unfold. So when I talked to my dad for probably like 3 weeks about it, I was stressed out more than you could imagine. I'd sit outside my dorm room at like 3 in the morning talking to him, like, Dad, like, how are, is this what I should do? How are we going to do this? Because, transferring, it's a stressful process, and it was completely new
Yeah.
to me. I didn't really know anyone that transferred prior to playing college football. So it was, I would say, I think I entered the portal like the second to last day I could. So I definitely took every last minute I could to try to think about the decision that I was going to make. And then once I made it, never look back. I knew regardless, even like making the decision to go to Wake Forest out of high school, and every big decision you have in life, I think you're always going to have regrets. You're never going to make a decision to be 1,000%. But the one promise I made to myself is, as soon as I make this decision to enter the portal, you never know what's on that other side, but I'm going to go at that other side, a million miles per hour, full speed, and take on whatever comes my way head on. So
100%.
that was probably the best thing I made. And then, obviously it worked out. I had a good amount of schools, a lot more than I probably anticipated, but once I got the opportunity here, it was kind of a no-brainer to get a little bit closer to home. So it all worked itself out, but I definitely, definitely had to think about that decision for quite a while.
For sure, man. And I know it's tough, man. Never been in the transfer portal, never had a transfer, man. So I can only imagine, I mean, what that's like, man, knowing that you went all the way here and you was high on a certain decision and you just felt like you needed more out of your career. You feel like you could get more. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, now you have to go into a transfer portal. Like you said, I don't know what's on the other side of that door. It's like whatever comes, I have to take it because I'm in this portal. I can't go back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a tough decision, man, because almost like playing with the unknown. You just don't know
Yep.
what happens after. Did my
Yep.
career ends after this? Do no one wants me? Do I have to go to a Division III school now because I can't go to Power 5? Went from a Power 5 school now to a D3. You just
Yeah.
never know. And you made your way back to Maryland. Man, who helped you with this decision? And you said your dad, he was on the phone with your dad for hours and hours to the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was my dad, probably the number one. I talked to my high school coach a little bit, but obviously it's tough, not having someone be in your circle 24/7 and know the situation. And even some of my friends at Wake that just, obviously my best friends, my guys, obviously, they're biased towards me. They were my supporters, my right hand man. So when I would talk to them, it was just like, like you said, what do you want to get out of your career? Because you know how you kind of understand how the situation is here for another year. You had a really good spring. You created a lot of value for yourself. So do you want to try to cash in on that value and see what you can get out of it? So those were, the short circle, but definitely, my dad, my mom obviously doesn't know too much about the ins and out of college football, but she
Yeah,
obviously gave me her words of encouragement. But really, it was my dad and then my couple of buddies just trying to figure out, if I wanted to essentially bet on myself and see what was on the other side of that door. But I had a lot of good people in my ear and a lot of good people helping me kind of weigh the pros and cons. And so it was a stressful situation, but one that I'm definitely stronger for making.
for sure, for sure. I want to take a break right here to say I want to give a shout out to my partners over at Smash Up Fantasy Football. These guys finally launched today, man. I'm excited about this fantasy football thing that's going on now. It's not like the traditional fantasy football where you draft a team and you just get a team and it's kind of autopilot during the season. You just hope and wish that all your players do well and you come out on top. This one is an opportunity for us, people that's doing fantasy football, to be more interactive with your draft class and being able to move things around, to have a power up card to be able to give your quarterback more points, give your running back a more of advantage of getting more points when he scores or getting a certain amount of yards. And if you use my code Team Gray when you sign up, man, you'll get not only just 3 lineups, you'll be able to get additional 4th lineup to go into the season with when you draft your team. So once again, go to Smash Up Fantasy Sports to sign up and use the promo code Team Gray. Don't forget that. Shout out to Smash Up Fantasy Football. It is killing. Today is the official launch day. Let's not forget that. I will make sure I bring it back to y'all again towards the end of the show. But back to my guy, Billy. You went on from Wake Forest, man. It's a tough decision for you. Went on to Maryland. You finally get to Maryland 2022, I say, right? Was it 2022 you get to Maryland?
2022.
Who was there that called you and say, "Hey, Billy, we want you"? Was it Locks?
Not first. It was Coach Enos, Coach Dan Enos, and Coach Mike Miller.
Okay.
They're both not here anymore, but Coach Enos was the quarterbacks coach and the offense coordinator, and Coach Miller was the tight ends coach and the co-offense coordinator. And I knew both of them from my brother's time being at Alabama. So they've known me since I was probably 13, 14 years old, probably before I even started a varsity game in high school. And both of them, I think Coach Enos was the first one that called me, and then Coach Miller shortly thereafter, just because I had pretty good relationships with both those guys since I was a pretty young player. So it made it pretty easy hearing from some familiar voices that the opportunity was here.
Yeah, for sure, man. Walk me through that first year, man. I think that's considered a redshirt freshman year, correct?
Yep.
Your redshirt freshman year, man. Walk me through that year, man. You finally get to Maryland. It's almost like I'm back home. I can kind of like not chill, but more so I can relax my mind. I have a support system here. If anything goes wrong, I can always go to dad or go to mom. They're right down the road. Always gonna have my back. Just talk about the overall feeling, knowing that the home team brought you back.
I mean, it was definitely a surreal feeling. It was one of those feelings where going away, I didn't think Wake Forest was too far away, but then once I got the opportunity to be 35 minutes away, I'm sitting here like, dang, like this is
It's
sweet.
really a difference.
Yeah,
It's
like,
really a big
sweet.
difference.
So I fully took advantage of that summer. I would, we'd have our workouts during the week. And then if I was feeling homesick or if I wanted to see my buddies, whatever back home, then I'd obviously make the trip. But, it was a blessing, being able to be back here, being so close to family, like you said, having a support system not too far away and playing for the home team, the good guys. So it was that summer was definitely like I got Maryland gear. I got to put the jersey on. I had the red. Like it was definitely just a cool experience to finally, I was on the roster. I was a Maryland Terrapin, and something that no one else could take away from me.
Spring ball was huge for you, man. That was for you to get acclimated and understand the system and things. How tough was that for you, man? Converting from more of a triple option team where it was kind of a specific type of offense to them to now to almost like a spread offense.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think, like I said, I think the principles and the fundamentals that I learned from being in that system at Wake helped me. I would say the biggest thing I struggled with here was like the defensive IDs, just because of how everyone has different terminologies and
Mm-hmm.
things. I was like, it probably took me 2 weeks of taking reps to finally realize, like, okay, when they're in a mint front, when they're in an odd front, like that's the jack, like because there's so much different
Mm-hmm.
moving parts in that and in our terminology here. So that was probably the hardest part. And then once from there, like you know, I stayed up endlessly that first summer, like trying to learn the playbook and drawing flashcards and drawing plays and stuff like that, just because, I embraced that challenge. I think that was fun to learn a new playbook and, you know, definitely something that I try to take advantage of in the sense of like, all this stuff is cool. Like these, the play calls we have and what their intent of them are to try to learn that and just make as much of a mental jump as I can before I actually took any reps so that when I, took some reps, I could close that gap to try to make the transition more smooth.
Yeah, for sure. And make and learn every playbook you're gonna learn, man, from the college level even to the pros. Man, I would say for me, man, the hardest playbook I ever learned. Well, I would say I still couldn't learn. There's got to be the Tennessee Titans Pro playbook, bro. I mean, this thing was so condensed, bro. Like we had about three. It comes to line and had about three calls into one play call. Like you'll have like Tannehill would come to the line and call a play and hear can,
And
and
you
then you
got
be
to
like,
you got to
okay,
move.
okay, you're in the next play, and then hit can. You be hitting my center like, what's the play? I forgot the
Yeah,
third play. Like it's not only just two, it's three plays. And
replays.
all
Yep.
of, and sometimes all is predicated on looks and angles and things that we all know about ball. But a lot of things was to get Derrick Henry the ball. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It was to get Derrick Henry the ball. And it
Yeah.
was just like, bro, what about us, bro? We can't think straight, bro. Our minds are going crazy up here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know the feeling, man, how tough playbooks can get, man. And as the installs continue to pile up, man, it feels like you get buried sometimes, man. It's like, oh my gosh, bro. I can never just catch up. Like, rewind, day one again, day one again. Let's get the regular inside zone all over again. Like,
Yeah.
it's tough, man. And I know that feeling, man. That's why I enjoy doing podcasts and talking to guys that play because it's like seeing what y'all be saying in y'all heads and thinking, like, bro, I felt the same way. And I
Yeah.
promise you, you ain't the only one that feel that way. And
Even no matter how much work I put in that first summer here to try to learn that, like, and I knew it too, but that also was my motivation. No matter how much I try to learn this playbook, like when we get into fall camp and we're doing an install every day or every 2 days, and them things start piling up, it's still going to be overwhelming. So
yes,
that just pushed me to
yes.
try to closing that gap as much as I can and be as familiar as possible with it as I can, even though, I still faced a ton of growing pains.
Yeah, I'm telling you, how important is getting reps, man. Because I mean, I was a guy that hated doing things on the board, man. I feel
Yeah.
like I liked on the board just to see it, but sometimes I have to go actually play it to
Yeah.
see how it play out because I have to see how it moves.
Yep.
Because sometimes, like just looking on the boards, like it's almost hard to say he's going to be right there.
It
Well,
only
what if they stem in the middle of play? Well, who's my guy now? You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
it's like you have your rules, but sometimes your rules can get conflicted when things move out a different way. I mean, it's sometimes really challenging, bro, to really
yeah,
ID certain things. And as a quarterback, I used to love to get with my quarterback and center because, like, well, as a QB, Tannehill or whether it was Roethlisberger or Trevor Lawrence when he first came in. Well, Trevor Lawrence is like a little different thing because he was real young. He didn't really know. But like Ben Roethlisberger, to get with him and Pouncey, and I was like, well, what are you looking at? That system there was so easy, bro. I mean, it was easy. Like it was drop back pass, 50, 60, 70 protection. That's it. You know
yep,
what I mean? And all it was like front side guys. If a 50-man pro, front side guys, they're man on, backside slides. Center left guard, left tackle slides. If 52
slide,
protection, front side man on, backside slide. You know
slide,
what I mean? In 53, man on left side, right
yep,
side slide. You know what I mean? And we always point the Mike front side Mike. That's it. We know it. We had all these guys. The quarterback has the other guy if he comes. Or
yeah,
we throw hot. And if he's lined up in the A gap, we squeeze it. The front side
squeeze it,
squeezes it. Yep, and he throws off the edge. That's it. But sometimes things get a little funky up there. You be like, whoa, time out, time out. We didn't see this look all week. It gets crazy, Billy. I'm telling you, it gets crazy up there. I know you know. I mean, I know you had that. Well, I would say, what was like your welcome to college football moment, man? You was thrown into the fire. I mean, I know your first year you got there, you started 2 games. Let's go through. You appeared in 7 games, but let's talk about the 2 games you started, and one being Northwestern. Let's talk about that, man. In 2022, you started that game. What was that like, man?
that was that was definitely tough just because every other time I'd gotten into a game this season, it was like I got thrown into the fire for like, besides a couple, we were killing a team, Michigan, Indiana, like it was coming and, we need you right now. Like whatever. The ball is rolling, the game is already going. It's obviously still a game. So that Northwestern game was just different. I wouldn't say it was like too much harder, but it was different because it's like you're playing a full game now. So like
Yeah,
those nerves, like I don't, if people remember that game, like those first 2 drives, I think, or maybe the second and third drive, we had two plays back to back. I probably threw the ball 60 and 65 yards because, like, as I would tell people, like my piss was hot. Like I was, it was my first career start. I was like,
yeah.
they called a couple shot plays and I was ready to let one rip. So that was just tough. It's just, I think, like 4 or 5 drives in that game, I got a little bit more calmer. Where the other games, when I came in at the end, it was like I was pretty calm. I knew the game was, I kind of knew the situation, whether we were down, up, whatever. Like it was tough, but I just went in there and tried to stay as relaxed as possible. Where, when you're starting your first game, there were so many more distractions that week to deal with. Then you got all these cameras in your face pregame. Like there's just so much more external stuff. You go through a full warm up, taking all the 1 reps, taking all the throws, knowing like, okay, I'm about to start. And then when you finally go out there for that first drive, it's like, this isn't the fourth quarter where, you got to come in and run 4-minute offense or whatever it is. Like you got to relax. You got to get back to neutral. You got to go through your reads, know the openers and stuff like that. So it was just tough to kind of relax a little bit. And then I think once we got into like the second to last drive of the first quarter or last drive of the first quarter, I kind of got into a groove a little bit and we were able to move the ball. But it was definitely just that beginning of just knowing like, you ain't coming out here just to let one rip. You got to relax and this, it's a 4-quarter game.
Who put the toughest hit on you, man? When all your playing days here in college, who was like, oh, he got me with a good hit, man? What team was that? Like a welcome
I'd
to college
say
football.
I would say my welcome my welcome to college football moment. He was actually my roommate. We were playing. It was because of my roommate. We were playing at UNC Charlotte 2 years ago. We were up like maybe 56-21 or something. I was in the fourth quarter. We called an RPO play, an outside zone RPO play, where I was reading the backside inside linebacker, and we were trying to throw a little pop route to Raheem Jarrett. We wanted to get him some touches, and obviously let me throw to him at the end of the game. And it was coming from the timeout. So we called the play. Everyone knew what the play was. We were all good. Outside zone, the outside zone call, we weren't going to block the backside inside linebacker. That was going to be
So,
my man to
so you say
control.
y'all run the RPO. So I'm assuming if you at quarterback, y'all run an RPO to the right or to the left.
To the right, run a left hash.
So you're running to the right, but you're reading the backside in and linebacker.
Yeah, I'm reading the
Okay.
backside linebacker. The left guard and left tackle are manning on their 2 guys.
Okay. Okay. You reading that backer. Okay. The backer. Let's say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we go up to set up. I think we motion across, whatever. I say set go. My roommate, or my old roommate at the time, he ended up transferring to TCU, Colton Deary. He's playing left guard. He just completely lets the D tackle go and goes to block the linebacker because he thinks it's just outside zone, where normally
Ooh.
we're all reaching. So I go, the linebacker flows. I pull the ball to step up and throw this ball to Raheem Jarrett, where probably if I get it off, he's probably still running to this day because there was nobody around him.
Yeah.
Get like guy picks me up, boom, slam on my head, like nose starts bleeding, slap. Like first time I'm like, dang, man. Like it was like I think it was like second down. So now it's like 3rd and 14. I get up and I look at Colton and I'm just like, dude, like you got to play from the sideline. Like, what do you like? Dude, I thought it was outside zone. So that was probably my first hit where I was like, one of those ones where you kind of open your eyes like, dang. But I get up and then like a play or two later, the ref's like, your nose is bleeding, you got to go out. And I'm sitting there like, what are you talking about? And I couldn't. Sure enough, just running down my face. But that was probably the first one where I, had to get up and gather myself a little bit.
Oh man, everybody had that welcome to college football moment, man. And oh man, I mean, I feel like I had a ton of those, bro. Like, I mean, oh man, I mean, I think all mine's always had my welcome to college moments. Probably, dang, like,
They were probably so bad you forgot them.
yes, it was. I feel like it was so many. I feel like one of my most embarrassing moments of college football had to be, man. I think it was my junior year, man. We playing against Nick Bosa. Nick
Okay.
Bosa at Ohio State. We go on the road. It's real loud in the horseshoe, bro. I'm talking about, bro. I told this story to DJ Glaze, by the way. I told this story to DJ. I told him he had to have an embarrassing moment that you just felt bad. And you look at your quarterback like, I'm so sorry, bro. I owe you whatever you want, bro. Like, it's like one of those moments like, bro, I'm sorry, Billy. Like, whatever you want, my whole stamp student union card, my NIL, you can have it all. I promise you, I'm so sorry. So, our quarterback, Max Bortenslogger, bro. Like, man, Tyrell Pickens is hurt. Kasim Hill is hurt. For some reason, all our QBs used to get hurt back in the day. Y'all have the best quarterback room we ever seen in our lives, like the best hands down. But all our quarterbacks stayed hurt. All of them had ACLs and knees and ankles. Max Bortenslogger is probably to be 5th string or 4th string quarterback. I don't know. He was at the bottom of the list. So my thing is, we going into the horseshoe on the road, nervous. I'm talking about he's nervous. You can look at his face; he's red. He's sitting there looking like he don't even want to play. And I'm sitting there like, I'm like, okay, Max is okay, bro. I know they got who they had like Denzel Ward and all those guys.
Oh yeah, they were.
I mean, they was loaded. I mean, Bosa's and the Sam Hubbards and all. That's okay. We got you. First play, we going to silent cadence, bro. Silent cadence almost is so bad for offensive line because our opponent is here, but we looking here. So we don't know what's going there because we have to see the ball. Yeah. Because now it's like usually the offense has an advantage. Now we don't. Now we both are even. Yep. So I'm looking at Bosa and I'm seeing him getting at track stands and he's like tipping off sides already. He's already tipping off sides. So I'm like, oh my God. So in my head, I look at the ball, look again. I look at the ball,
gone.
And he's already gone. So, I didn't even see the ball snap, bro. Like the ball snapped, everybody's panicking, and I'm like, bro, we run it back, and I literally get a hip of Bosa. He's running around, tips the ball out of Max Bortenslogger. I'm like, he should have just stepped up. I'm feeling mad about myself. I'm like, just step up. Then I look to the film. Everybody got killed. We all got killed. Ball got tipped out because of Bosa. He smacks it out of his hand. He don't hit the quarterback. He just tips the ball out. And number 17, I don't know who it is. Number 17, he plays for the Miami Dolphins. Number 55, Jerome Baker or something like that. I think that was him. I think that's him now. He plays for the Dolphins. He scooped it up and just took it in for touchdown. I go on the sideline. I'm sitting there like, man, I don't even want to play anymore. It sucks, bro. Like, the horseshoe is crazy. I know Twitter is going off. It's like Gray sucks. I hate him. I look KG comes over there. It's like, hey, just put it behind you. I'm like, bro, like my stock is going down, bro. My draft stock is going down. I'm like, I'm supposed to kill this guy, bro. Bosa's not this good as everybody say. He is really good as they say. But man. Long story short, man, we go back out there. He was silent the rest of the game. I was like, all right, bro. But it only take a D-line to make one good play, and he's remembered forever. And I'm like, what about the rest of the plays? We blocked him. He never got to the quarterback, but no one remembers that. I'm like, okay, great. But that was one of the moments I was like, bro, and I was like I think I was a senior or a junior. I was an older guy, and I was so pissed about that, bro. And I was like, that's one play I will not forget. That was like probably my worst one. I was like, bro, I freaking hate that play, bro.
Yep.
The fact is, I probably can go to his Instagram page, bro, and he probably still has that picture on his page, bro. Like, it's crazy. But
posted it?
Yes, he posted it. Nick Bosa posted this back in the day, bro. Like, y'all wait a second. I'm gonna go get this embarrassing photo, and it is right. Oh my gosh. There it is, the lucky photo.
Oh, oh,
He's beating me right there, man. It
oh.
is right there.
He
He's
didn't,
beating
he
me.
didn't tag you though, so it don't count. He didn't tag you.
Yeah, he didn't tag me.
Nowadays they'll tag him, and then you'll lose.
Oh man, bro, college football was crazy, bro. We had some dogs back in that league, man. The Big Ten, which it is still is now, man.
Yeah.
So we get back in there, man. What is the hardest thing you feel like you had to adjust, man, getting from Maryland, from Wake Forest to Maryland, just overall as a student and as a player?
I would say really, my role, when I was my one season at Wake Forest, like I didn't play at all. I think, yeah, there was only really probably one game where I could have gotten in. And, I didn't travel most weeks. So at first I was pretty like, obviously as a freshman, you come in like you're pretty bummed like that, that sucks. And I remember telling my dad, we would talk about it, and he's just like, you're never going to get like you're never going to have a free weekend, when they're on the road and stuff. And I got to hang out and go see my buddies from home or whatever. He's like, you're never going to get this again. And then when I came here, obviously the whole reason I came here was I was going to have a chance to be the backup and win that job in fall camp. So that was probably the biggest adjustment is like,
Yeah,
now getting, things are real. You got to be in tune with the game plan. You got to watch just as much film as a starter. You got to have all the boxes checked so that if you do have to play Saturday, you don't go out there and
I'm
embarrass.
telling you, please always be prepared, because the way our field is, I don't know what back in then when we played was Bird Stadium, then it went to Capital One Stadium, and now CQ Stadium. Man, I don't know what it is, but Bird Stadium was a glitch on that field.
Oh
Something,
yeah,
it took all of our knees, like it took everybody knees, and it rolled over to Capital One Field. I'm glad they switched the name, because now they had to remake that field. So you
yeah,
have to be ready, because I mean, at one point we had to play with a quarterback, play with a linebacker,
linebacker.
as I called it, as
Yep,
a quarterback.
I
And
remember that.
that was like in 2013. Like that was a
Yeah,
long time ago, but
yep.
it was crazy, bro. But yeah, man. Transfer from Maryland to Wake, man. What is the biggest difference between those two?
I would say definitely a big difference is just the type of ball between the Big Ten and the ACC. Like my brother obviously was a grad assistant here. He was here a year before I got here, and he used to tell me like about Big Ten ball and just how the linemen are bigger and the tight ends are bigger, and it's just there's bigger ball in the Big Ten. Like you have to have those guys, and I always used to like not believe him really, or obviously push him aside because my one year at Wake Forest we were 11-3, like we were ranked in the top 15 most of the year. We were pretty good. And then when I came here, I told him, I was like, damn, dude, I was like, you're right. Like, there's obviously like tight ends and the big guys, both offense and defense. Like, there's definitely a difference between the Big Ten and the ACC. That was probably the biggest
100%.
thing where I was like, whoa, whether, it don't matter what team you are in the Big Ten, like the guys are just bigger. You have to have those type of caliber players to go play on Nebraska at Nebraska in November on the road and be able to run the ball to win the game. Like things of that nature. Where that was probably the biggest thing where you could tell the difference between the Big Ten's type of football and the ACC.
For sure, that's fair, man. You ain't lying about that, man. The size of Big Ten is hectic. These guys are huge. Man, we're going to move on to this season, man. The most incredible season, man. One of the best seasons I've seen from my eyes as being a player in Maryland. And up to this point, this is the best season I've ever seen Maryland have production-wise. I still feel like I should have had 9 wins, but it's okay. That's for another topic.
Me and
But
you both.
but you're all y'all off the 5-0, man. I don't know if you know the history, man. That's the first time since 2001 you might have known. Man, what's that feeling like, man, being 5-0 and the whole world is rallying behind the Maryland Terps?
It was good. It was like Coach Locke would always talk about. We obviously put a lot of work into the offseason, and it was no surprise that we started off 5-0 with the amount of work we put in and the chemistry we had on both sides of the ball and how we were clicking. So it was definitely a good feeling. The thing with me, just kind of how I'm wired, is like, and it's probably like a bad thing. That's something I try to stay in the moment and enjoy the moment. But like as soon as you get that win, I was always thinking about the next one because like that thing creeps upon you fast. And obviously you want to enjoy the win in the moment, but it's like, okay, we're 3-0. Now who do we got to play? Oh, we got to go on the road and play Michigan State, who we haven't beaten at Michigan State since like 1955 or whatever it was. So that was just kind of my mentality where, yeah, probably looking back how we are now, like I didn't enjoy being 5-0 enough. But I think that was just my mindset and a lot of guys on the team mindset of like, okay, we're 5-0. How can we get to 6-0? Who's in our way now? And things of that nature. So it was definitely tough. The fan support, the student section, all those things were unmatched. They were unreal. You could definitely feel the vibes were good in College Park, I would say.
For sure, man. Y'all went on, man. Y'all was having a 5-0 roll, man. Y'all was going the road, man. Y'all was going. I'm talking about beating the Hoosiers. I was like, it was a blow. I was like, whoa, these guys are for real.
Yeah.
Man, what would you say your role is this season, man?
Well, obviously it's evolved a little bit with the short yardage package, but as the backup quarterback, like you said, just staying ready, and that was something I learned very quickly in 2022. Obviously this year I haven't had to come in as much and play any time as I did in 2022, but that's the nature of the business. And as the backup quarterback, I just try to stay ready as much as possible, and obviously be a team player to where, if Coach Gaddis and the coaches come in on Mondays, they say, hey Billy, we got a short yardage package for you for whatever the case is. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like whatever you need me, whether it's the quarterback sneak, whether it's putting me in shotgun and running some inside zone, whatever the thing was, I just tried to create value for myself. I even, there was a point in time this season when I was maybe going to have to hold. So whatever I had to do really to help us win, whether that was coming to play quarterback, going and run the ball, whatever the case was, that's kind of, I think the mentality I've taken on this year, and the role that I've embraced is just, whatever they need me to do, I'm going to do as long as we win.
For sure, man. And that's a great mentality to have. How antsy do you get on the sideline when it's like 4th and goal, or
Oh my
4th
God.
and 1, or short yardage moments, and they call your name?
Stop.
I know, and it's like 3rd and 3, Hemby runs and falls just short.
Oh,
Oh, you expected to call your name out there?
So yeah, the nerves for that are like, I would say after the past, what they say, I have 5 touchdowns on, the little tush push in the past 2 weeks. Like now I'm a lot more comfortable with it. But we ran that, if people remember, we ran it like Charlotte game earlier in the year. And first one I went in there on, I think like 3rd and 1 at the 20, I fumbled. And luckily Roman picked it up and we got the first down. And then I was like, oh, this is done. Like, no more short yardage package. That same drive, we're stopped on the half-yard line, 4th and goal. They put me in to run it again. We end up scoring it. And then Ohio State ran the short yardage, got stopped. And from then it was kind of, they took me out. They were like, everyone knows when I go in the game, I'm probably going to run the ball. So it wasn't until really like the Michigan week, like, that tush push is in our game plan, but it wasn't in our game plan, if that makes sense, to where I'm standing there next to my brother. He gave me a binder to write down the play call. And from my perspective, because I was most of the time stand behind our offense, either behind our offense or behind the defense, to where I have a good look of what's going on. So he's like, write down what you think their coverage is, if they're bringing pressure, so we can try to get a beat on what they're calling. I was like, all right, which I don't always like to do because I like to stay in the game. I like to be like engaged to where if at any moment I got to go, I'm ready. So I'm like, all right, whatever. He's been asking me to do this for a lot of the season. So I started doing it. I'm standing next to our offense line analyst, Coach Schwaba, and he would tell me the play call, and I'd be like, okay, whatever. We talk about the defensive structure. And it was 4th and goal against Michigan, and we were at like a TV timeout. They were reviewing. I think Colby McDonald ended up being short, and I hear my brother yell Billy on the he takes his headset off, he yells Billy, and I'm like, and my back's to him, I'm like, no way he's calling Billy, right? Like, we haven't run this thing in like 4 weeks. Like, nah, this ain't me. And then because we also have Sean Greeley, who's in the short yardage package, especially at the goal line too. So I'm like, oh, maybe he's yelling Greeley, and he yells Billy again. So I turn around and I'm holding the binder still, and he's looking at me. He's like, let's go. I'm like, what?
Throw the binder there.
I
Papers fly everywhere.
I walk out to him. He just grabs the binder from me. He's like, wristband 22. He's like, go finish it. I was like, oh God. So I went out there, called the play in the huddle. Obviously, the offensive line was like, let's go, Billy. Like, we punching this thing in with or without you. I was like, all right. And probably the best thing I did before that first one was, as I broke the huddle, walked up, let everyone get set. I stared in front of me, the center right here. I just took a deep breath, put my hands under, said hut, and I took my drop set and rode the wave and got pushed in. And after that, I had all the confidence in the world to where they called me. They called me times and was like,
that give me chills.
So that was the biggest. That was probably those moments were definitely nerve wracking. But after that first one, I did it every time. Even the 2 weeks this past week at Rutgers, as soon as I walk up there, I take a deep breath to try to relax myself, because I think that was my issue when I first did it against UNC Charlotte, was I was too like trying to get the ball and go.
Yeah.
I've watched probably 100 clips of Jalen Hurts do this. My brother and coaches put a little cut up for me. So after watching that, I was like, all right. I was like, just get the snap. Obviously, I'm a bigger guy, so let the guys behind me push me, and I'll, everything else will take care of itself. So those are definitely some surreal moments where I'm sitting here like, there's no way they're calling me right now, but it all works itself out.
No, for sure, man. Man, it was a big week in Rutgers, man. The birthplace of college football. Of course, y'all improved y'all record to 7-5, but it was another big record being broke with Talia, man. Talia being an all-time Big Ten passing leader of all time, man, and him passing Curtis Painter, the former Purdue Boilermaker quarterback back in the day. Man, how impressive is that for Talia, man?
That it was honestly something where, like, after the game, because people had talked about it a little bit before, like he needed 270 or whatever going in, but it wasn't for me until after the game where you really see that on paper. Like, you see he's thrown for like 11,000 career yards or whatever it was, and I'm like, dang, like, obviously, me, like, I've thrown for maybe 400 career yards. So I'm sitting here like, holy crap. Like, it just made me have a greater sense of appreciation for being in the same room as him, and to see there and watch, some of the big games he's had this year, he's thrown for 400 yards. It's just like, I'd be dumb if, I got one game with him, another month left of being in the same room as him, as if I don't take all the knowledge that he has for my own, well-being for whenever I get the chance to play. But that was such a, an unreal moment. He obviously broke it, I think, at the end of the first half or early second half. And obviously no one really, I don't think anyone said much about it that I could hear, but it was good for him to have the moment he did in the locker room, and to see him have, the moment he did with his family, and to get the game ball. Like, that's, that ain't my record, but that's something that I'll never forget. Obviously,
Yeah, for sure.
so it was just a really cool experience to watch him. And I'm obviously very, very happy for him that he was able to get that.
Man, I know it's gonna be tough, man, to lose your brother, man. For him, man, he's a senior, he's moving on. But yeah, what better person to learn from, man, this whole year, man, to sit behind a guy that's broke the Big Ten record,
Yeah,
not the Maryland history record, but a Big Ten worldwide. I mean, think about all the great quarterbacks that came to the Big Ten:
I'm
Drew
telling you,
Brees, Tom Brady's. Like,
those,
what?
that's
What?
when you see that on Twitter and you're like, holy crap. You're like, and like, just the magnitude of it, and you see the number and you're just like, there's no way, like, it's gonna be hard for someone to even come
I,
close to touching that.
I mean, I'm just looking at the number like, bro, like that's a crazy number, bro. Like he played 1 year at Alabama. He only played Maryland with 3 years.
I think technically 3.5, because COVID, he only played like 4
Yeah.
games.
I'm like, yo, like he
Yeah,
didn't play he didn't play 4 or 5 years here. Like
yeah, exactly. And
crazy.
the nature of college football
Wow.
now, with you see all these starting quarterbacks transfer. I'm like, yeah, no one's gonna stay at a place long enough to even come close to that. Like,
Man, that's gotta be crazy, man. Well, so man, with the knowledge of knowing that this is Talia last year, man. Yeah, I know you're assuming, man. What is your thoughts about the QB job next year?
yeah, I mean, obviously the we got good guys in the room. Obviously, that the competition is going to be open. I have no clue. The transfer portal is obviously a thing, and I have no clue what our plans, if they're going to bring one in from that. But regardless of the situation, I think, if it was just between me and the guys in the room now, me, Cam, Jaden, Champ, and I think we're bringing one or two in from high school. It's anyone's job, and I think all of us are putting ourselves in good spots to go take it. Obviously, Cam played a little bit this year in the first game. I played, some of my first 2 years here, so I'm excited for it. I think the one thing about that being an open competition is competition, breeds excellence, and we're going to push each other and make each other better, regardless of who wins the job. Which is, I think the thing that I'm most excited for is just to get better, and have that guy, like, I witnessed it a lot when I was at Wake Forest with the layout of the room we had there, of just guys pushing each other and competing. But also, at the end of the day, like, we're in the same room, we're on the same team, we're brothers. We're going to have each other's back and be our brother's keeper. But when we're in between the lines, we got to make each other better. That's only going to better the team, and help us, put us in the best position to win as many games. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for it, and we just got to get an opportunity, take advantage of it, and roll.
Man, for sure, man. And as we ready to wind down on this podcast, man, it's been fun, man. We're gonna get into a little bit of the bowl week, man. How has the week been, man, with this bowl week coming up? How has it been since the conclusion of the Rutgers game? What has been the week been like?
Yeah, it's been good so far. We had a couple days off. Now, we have two kind of player ran practices, mini practices at the end of the week, and then they'll give us the weekend off. And then I think next week we're kind of back to some more cement schedule. We had a team meeting earlier this week that kind of gave us the overview. We'll obviously find out what bowl game we make it into Sunday afternoon after, selection show and all that things. But I think next week we're practicing like 2 or 3 times, some lighter stuff. Like you said, now we're going back through day one install to try to help, guys like me, older guys, go through and remember all that stuff. And then also younger guys, because Coach Locks always says the bowl game is, in his mind, in our eyes, the 2023 season's over. And this bowl game that we're going to play here in the next couple of weeks is the start of the 2024. So
100%.
going back through those first couple installs to get those young guys ready, because last year we had to have guys like Shalik Knotts, Octavian Smith Jr. score the only touchdown in the bowl game and to help us win that. We had to have freshmen, guys come in and step up and make plays, and I'm sure we'll have to have the same thing this year. So just getting those guys ready and trying to keep, not let us get too relaxed with some days off, but obviously give our bodies some winding down time. But it'll be a quick turnaround before we got to head to where we play this bowl game and get ready to go get number 8.
For sure, man. How fun would it be to play in Las Vegas, man, for the Las Vegas Bowl?
Oh yeah,
I know you guys probably been hearing about that.
Yeah, that's definitely that one. I think Phoenix, and there's a couple others, but that one definitely should be a fun time. Get to play a Pac-12 opponent. I think right now they're saying either USC or Utah, which are both obviously high quality opponents. So it'll be fun. Those bowl games. Obviously, you play good teams, you play in good bowl games, you get all the gifts and things, but it's really just a fun experience. You're taking a team trip for a week essentially, where you get to practice, you get to do all these activities. It's good. You make a lot of memories there that, it's for some of these guys, it's going to be their last college football game ever. So that's a fun experience as it is to go there and, to finish up the season strong and start the new season off the right way. I'm looking forward to it. Bowl games are usually fun. We got a bunch of fun guys on the team, and I'm sure they'll have some fun activities set up for us. So I'm looking forward to it.
No, for sure, man. I mean, hey, bowl games always been fun. I was lucky to play in 2. In the bowl games, we lost both of them, but we played one, the Foster Farm Bowl against Christian McCaffrey back in the day, and
oh yeah,
they had those guys, man, over Levi Stadium, man. It was crazy. Our little bowl festivities, man. We went to like Alcatraz, and we practiced over the bridge in Oakland. Like, it was fun, man. Just being able to go practice on someone else's field during the day, see some palm tree. It was lit, man. It was a great time. Of course, we lost, man. Stanford put it on us. And then the next bowl games, probably I think our junior year, we won 6 games by the skin of our teeth, won 6 of them. And we played in like the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit against Boston College, man. And of course, that was another loss. So man, I haven't won one before. So
all right, we'll have to get one for you in a couple of weeks. But bowl games are hard, man. People don't understand how hard it is to win 6 games and especially in the Big Ten.
Man, it's tough, man.
So whenever you get that chance to get a bowl game and get another opportunity, you got to be grateful for it, and you got to take advantage of it.
For sure, man. You got to get it, man. But man, Billy, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do, man. It was fun, man. It was fun learning about your experience, man. For sure, man. Anything else you want to lead the people?
No, I'm good, man. Just stay tuned. We'll see where we go for the bowl game, and keep the support rolling. We appreciate all you guys.
Oh, for sure, man. All right, Billy, man. I'll catch up with you.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. Appreciate it.
You too. Well, right there, man, concludes the episode. Once again, happy Friday, everybody. We made it. I told y'all this was going to be an exciting episode, man. This guy right here is full of love, man, full of fun. And once again, what I learned from this guy today, man, he's a team guy. He's about the success of the team before himself. He was so happy for Talib, man, to win that award. It almost gave him chills to see his brother, man, all the work he's put in, man, to say, wow, man, I literally play in the same room as this guy, man. Like, he really cared more about his teammate than himself. And that's one thing I can really say I really appreciate about Billy, man. That's going to make him a hell of a player, because when you appreciate your other teammates, you learn from those guys. You don't close off your ears and not listen to what other people think because you think you're better. You open ears always to learn more and more. And he's going to be a better quarterback this year than he is. And he's more than just a runner that we see in the short yards. All the things you see, he's more than that because he's open ears and he wants to learn and continue to get better and compete. Once again, everybody, please sign up for Smash Up Football Fantasy, man. Please. This app right here is one of the best right now. Just launched today, man. Use the code Team Gray. Team Gray, I say, man, get you an extra 4th lineup, man, when you're drafting your team, man. You're going to sign up today, man. Get started early, man. It's the release day. Sign up, man. Let's have some fun with this, man. I'm about to make my team, and I'm about to have 4 lineups, and I'm about to draft me Jalen Hurts, and you got to see who else I draft. But I appreciate y'all rocking with the show. Once again, be safe. It's the weekend. Don't do nothing crazy. Get an Uber if you have to drive and drink. Get an Uber, and yeah, holla at y'all. See you in a couple days. It was great. Got better and basically being faster, stronger, powerful, and being more explosive. And now I'm out here competing and having fun.
Running behind that fine offensive line, Derwin Graves did a great job tonight.
With all the guys I played with, that was a fun experience being a part of, so I had fun with it. It's definitely been fun, man, so I appreciate all the coaching staff and what they done for me. Maryland's been a great school for me.